The story of the peach blossom king Krishna. Krishna is the eighth incarnation of Lord Vishnu. At this time, there was discord among the Yadava royal family in Mathura. Kansa dethroned his father, defeating his sister Devaki and her husband Vasudeva. Not only did she put you in prison, but she also ordered you to kill any children born to you because of a prophecy at Devaki's wedding. According to Puranic legend, Kansa was told by fortune-tellers that a child of Devaki will kill him. Kansa arranges to kill all of Devaki's children. Kansa killed all 6 of Devaki's children. At this time Mother Earth was displeased by the cruel acts of Kansa and the other demon kings, who transformed into a cow and came to meet her with other gods, who took her to the shore of the ocean. There, they chanted Purusha Sukta and summoned Lord Vishnu, assured that he would reincarnate with his snake god Shesha or Ananta during the Yadu dynasty to end the tyranny of the tyrant Kansa. When Devaki was about to give birth to her 7th child, God Vishnu came to the rescue by taking the fetus still in the womb and giving it to Rahini, Vasudeva's other wife, who was living with the cowherd couple Nanda and his wife at that time. Yasoda at Gokula. When the time came, the baby was born and was named Bala Rama. It is the incarnation of the snake god Ananta that Lord Vishnu still rests on. After that, Mrs. Devaki became pregnant with her 8th child. At the moment she gave birth to this child, elegant music resounded, and all the trees on the ground bloomed profusely. This child is Lord Vishnu's 8th birth as Krishna. When he was just born, Krishna appeared before his parents with a crown on his head, wearing a yellow shirt, holding 4 symbolic objects in his 4 hands: a conch shell, a round disc, a lotus flower and a mace. Krishna told his parents to bring him to Yasoda's house to exchange him for the daughter that Yasoda was about to give birth to. Having finished speaking, Krishna returned to the form of a newborn child. Although the recent appearance and instructions were very strange, Vasudeva decided to obey. He placed the child in a basket, then put it on his head and prepared to leave the prison. The chains were suddenly released, the prison door opened, the prison guards fell asleep in a coma and Vasudeva passed away peacefully. On the way, Vasudeva had to wade across the Yamuna river. Wading into the middle of the stream, the child suddenly became so heavy that the river water almost reached his head, making it difficult to wade across. But as soon as the child got naked into the water, the river suddenly dried up, so father and son reached the shore safely. When he arrived at Nanda's house, a voice rang out telling Vasudeva to go in, put the boy down next to Yasoda and take the newborn girl Yasoda back to prison. It happened quickly and smoothly. Neither Nanda nor Yasoda knew anything. From then on, Yasoda raised Krishna, still thinking he was raising his own child. Hearing the news of her sister's birth, Kansa again tried to kill the child. This time the girl appeared as a goddess and told Kansa that the child Kansa wanted to kill was currently living in Gokula on the other side of the Yamuna river. Kansa then sent his group of evil soldiers to kill all the newborn babies in this whole area. Stories about Krishna's childhood are many. Yasoda was always worried about the boy's strange behavior. One minute he was an ordinary boy, the next minute he had become the supreme being of the universe. She was also worried about Kansa always trying to harm the child. Once Kansa sent Patana, a vampire, who appeared in the form of a woman with gentle beauty to pick up a child to breastfeed. Krishna sucked out all the poison from the demon's breast, causing it to die instantly and reveal its true form. Another time Yasoda placed the boy to play peacefully under a large cart in the yard. As soon as Yasoda left, a demon servant of Kansa jumped up and tried to make the car collapse, but Krishna used his toe to knock the heavy car into the opposite wall, killing the demon. Another time Yasoda was playing with the boy when a dark cloud suddenly swooped down, grabbed the boy's neck and flew high. That time there was almost no way to save the boy, but the cloud was forced to slow down and then lower. Lower and lower to the village, and the boy escaped. Once, Yasoda wanted to keep the boy from playing, so he tied him to the axle of a wheel. But he refused to stand still. He dragged the wheel towards two large old trees growing side by side. He tried to get in the middle, but the wheel got stuck, but he kept pulling, causing two old trees to fall. Suddenly, two gods appeared and said that they had been imprisoned in the tree for a long time, but were now released by Krishna, and they wholeheartedly submitted and worshipped as the master. Krishna often stole avocados from the neighbors to distribute to monkeys and other children, but when the ladies came to tell them, they were all surprised to find that Krishna had stolen avocados from their homes at the same time. Mrs. Yasoda confirmed that at that time Krishna never left the house. Another time Krishna picked up soil and put it in his mouth. When Mrs. Yasoda opened Krishna's mouth to take out the soil, she witnessed the image of the entire universe. When he was 6 or 7 years old, Krishna was allowed to follow his brother Balarama to the pasture to herd the animals. During this time, the Vrindavan forest often resounds with the laughter of Krishna and his fellow shepherds. Krishna loved playing the flute. The flute's sound was so magical that the Yamuna River lost its way because of listening, and lotus flowers all over the area bloomed with joy. Once there was a giant dragon that hid itself very cleverly, revealing only its wide open mouth. The shepherd children thought it was the cave entrance and rushed in. The dragon took a breath and pushed all the children and animals into its stomach. The children screamed for Krishna's help. Krishna then came and let the dragon breathe into his stomach. But once inside, Krishna became unusually tall and broke open the dragon's belly, and the shepherds and animals were completely saved. One day, a giant crane as tall as a mountain landed on the riverbank. Krishna let the crane hold him in his beak. But before the crane could swallow, Krishna became a hot object. The crane wanted to release it immediately, but Krishna still clung on, trying to break the crane's beak, causing the giant bird to die. Another time, the demon Metrasur appeared in the form of a ram, at first pretending to graze peacefully, then suddenly rushed at full speed towards Krishna. Everyone thought that this time Krishna would surely die, but Krishna still calmly waited for the demon to arrive, then swung his hand, grabbed the sheep's scruff, spun it around a few times in the air, and threw it straight into the tree. Metrasur shattered, flesh and blood splashing everywhere. On a hot day, a group of shepherds went to Kalia Lake to drink water. They did not know that the lake water had been poisoned a long time ago, so they all died. Seeing this, Krishna cried loudly, tears of sadness fell and the children were all revived. Krishna then decided to kill the poisonous snake living in the lake. This poisonous snake Kalia had to leave its old place because it was afraid of the god bird Garuda, usually ridden by Vishnu. The reason Garuda did not go to Brindaban forest was because of a Taoist's curse that if he went there he would die. So Kalia can still live peacefully in this lake. Its venom secreted so that no plants could survive around the lake, except for an ancient tree. The reason is that this tree was once planted by Garuda. Because Garuda is Vishnu's divine bird, the tree is imbued with sacred substances without being killed by snake venom. One day, while the shepherds were playing ball, the ball fell into the lake. Krishna climbed the tree and jumped into the lake. Kalia saw the lake water being disturbed and was very angry, so he raised his head 100 times to observe. Seeing the little boy, he grabbed him and dragged him to the bottom of the lake, intending to peck him to death. But as soon as the snake's teeth touched the flesh, Krishna began to swell, so great that Kalia was forced to release him. Meanwhile, the herdsmen on the shore were frightened. Some of them ran back to tell Mrs. Yasoda and Nanda. Mrs. Yasoda wanted to risk jumping into the lake to save her child, but Balarama advised her not to worry. Krishna was determined to win the battle and return. Then Balarama climbed up a tree and took out a horn to blow, signaling to Krishna that his mother was worried. Krishna then let his flute float to the surface of the water, indirectly telling him that he was okay. Seeing this, Krishna's friends were even more scared because they thought that Krishna never wanted to leave his flute. Balarama blew another horn, asking Krishna to prove that he was alive. Krishna then grabbed one of the snake's heads and raised it from the water. The snake's head moved, causing the peacock feather to dance on the surface of the water, causing everyone to think that Krishna had been killed. Not long after Kalia was exhausted, Krishna cut off its heads one by one. When Krishna was about to kill the poison and cut off the last one, the snake's wives collapsed and begged him to spare her husband and father's life. Krishna agreed on the condition that the snake must return to its original place. Kalia replied that if it returned to its original place, the god bird Garuda would eat it. Krishna told him to rest assured. When the divine bird Garuda saw Krishna's footprints on his head, he would never try to harm him again. So Krishna went ashore. It was very late at that time. No one had time to go home. Everyone agreed to spend the night in the forest. They gathered under an ancient banyan tree. In the middle of the night, the forest caught fire and the shepherds woke up calling for help. Krishna opened his mouth 3 times and sucked out all the fire, saving the forest fire. Krishna gradually grew up and became a young man. Once at the beginning of the monsoon season, people as usual prepared to make offerings to god Indra, god of lightning. Krishna said it was crazy to pray to Indra to ask for a good harvest. Good or bad harvest depends on your own fate. God Indra was very angry, and to prove that his power was greater than Krishna, he created a spell of heavy rain and wind. The water of the Yamuna river turned into a flood overflowing its banks. Krishna then led the people and livestock on the road to Mount Govardhana. Krishna used one finger to lift the mountain up to provide shelter for the whole group of people and animals. For 7 days, everyone lived peacefully and dryly. Indra knew he could not win, so he let the sun shine. The river returned to peace, the group of people and animals returned to the village, and the mountain was lowered as before. Indra rode the white elephant Airavata to present himself, submitting to Krishna. One day Krishna stole all the clothes of the women bathing in the river. They begged Krishna to return it. Krishna forced them each to personally come and get it. Here Krishna has no other intention than to teach them a noble lesson about spirituality. There are books. The cows represent the senses. The shepherds represent wisdom. The shepherdesses represent intelligence. The clothes the girls wore symbolized ignorance. Stealing the clothes meant taking away ignorance to clarify the truth. In return, Krishna promised to dance with them on a full moon night. At the full moon, the magical sound of Krishna's flute rang out, making it impossible for those women to sleep. Then one after another they sneaked away from their husbands, left the house, and followed the path to the forest. After a long meeting, Krishna told them to return because they had already seen the beautiful moon on the riverbank. They all cried and begged Krishna not to abandon them so soon. Unable to disappoint their favor, Krishna personally flattened a golden height right on the riverbank to prepare it as a dancing place. Meanwhile, the young women went down to bathe in Manasa Rovara Lake, sacred lake, put on beautiful makeup, and then they danced in circles around Krishna as if circling a bright moon. When the girls' pride showed on their faces, Krishna disappeared, taking only the beautiful Radha with him. The girls cried and went deep into the forest to ask about the birds, flowers and grass to see if they could see Krishna anywhere. The girls met Radha again, who was also crying because of losing Krishna. It was nothing, because she was proud to have been taken away by him, so he disappeared. The girls took each other back to the golden high ground on the riverbank to sit and cry. Seeing this, Krishna returned. The dance under the moon continued. Krishna divided himself into enough Krishnas for each girl. They held hands and danced jubilantly. Looking from a distance like a large bracelet encrusted with gold and jade. The golden light was the face of each Krishna. The bright jade light was the faces of the girls. The sound of a rooster announcing the morning is somewhere. The moon sets at the top of the western mountain at any time. It's time to say goodbye. Krishna told them to always meditate on this noble friendship, so it would be no different than their constant presence together. Everyone went home happy, and no one else in the village knew about the night's dancing. Kansa spent more than 10 years trying to find all kinds of methods but could not kill Krishna, so he invited Krishna, Nanda and all of Krishna's boyfriends to the capital Mathura to attend the meeting. Krishna and his friends accepted. Arriving at the edge of the city, everyone stopped, only Krishna came to visit in front of the festival venue. He headed straight to the honorary stand where Kansa would display, where Shiva's magical bow hung, symbolizing Kansa's reigning authority. Legend has it that no one has been able to draw that bow yet. Krishna quickly pulled the bowstring, the bow bent and broke in half. The resounding sound made the whole capital terrified. Kansa had a premonition that her last day had come. The next day, Kansa came to officially open the festival. Krishna and his brother Balarama led the group of shepherds in. At the entrance of the arena, Kansa had subdued a very large elephant. The Mahout was ordered to push the elephant forward to trample the entire crowd, but Krishna grabbed the elephant's tail and pulled it back as gently as pulling a small calf. Both the elephant and the Mahout were killed. Holding 2 large tusks in both hands, Krishna and his brother went straight into the arena to wrestle with the king's champion. How can this guy compete with Krishna? Kansa was angry and ordered the musketeers to arrest the 2 brothers, but Krishna jumped in and ended the traitor's life. Father Kansa returned to the throne. Krishna saved his biological father and mother from prison. During the first few years, Krishna helped this kingdom repel many invasions and eliminate many evil spirits that harassed it. Viswakarman, a miraculous architect, built a coastal city for Krishna, named Dwaraka. Many times Krishna used miraculous powers to bring the entire Mathura people to Dwaraka in one night, so that when they woke up the next morning, they were very surprised to see the vast ocean around them. Krishna married thousands of wives. Actually, this also implies a symbolic meaning. Krishna symbolizes all positive elements in harmony with all negative elements to reproduce and endure in heaven and earth. The main person is of course Rukmini. Legend has it that Rukmini admired Krishna since childhood. She always prayed to be Krishna's wife. When she grew up, her brothers wanted to marry her to someone else. She wrote poetry expressing her feelings to Krishna. Krishna came to save her at the moment when she was about to get married to the person chosen by her brothers. She was brought back to Dwaraka. With Krishna, she gave birth to a son named Pradyumna, who is believed to be the reincarnation of the god of love Kama Deva. With every wife, Krishna had 10 sons and 1 daughter. A hermit, curious to know how Krishna managed to live in harmony with so many thousands of wives, was surprised to see that every woman boasted that Krishna himself was living with her. So all the thousands of ladies lived very happily. One day, Rukmini's wife asked her husband who he was most loyal to. Krishna replied, "Radha." Because Radha is a beautiful shadow that appeared from Krishna's childhood, no one knows the faces of the ladies in Dwaraka. The ladies requested Krishna to see Radha. When Krishna's messenger arrived, he saw Radha sitting in meditation, eyes closed, mouth muttering Krishna's name. She is as beautiful and gentle as a white lotus blooming in the night. When she was told that Krishna wanted to invite her, she initially refused. Then, wanting to please Krishna, she agreed. She wore makeup just like the day she danced with Krishna on the banks of the river rippled with golden moonlight. Arriving at Dwaraka, her radiant and noble beauty dimmed all other beauties, just like when the sun rises, the moon and stars must sink. When it was time to break up, she didn't want to go anymore. Krishna had to comfort her that Krishna was the whole world, and the whole world was in Krishna. Nothing could separate the two. That faithful, passionate, and beautiful love is also a symbol of the Supreme Being's love towards the world, and the eternal aspirations of the world towards the supreme principle of God, truth, goodness, and beauty. The epic Ramayana along with the epic Mahabharata are often compared to 2 epic poems of Homer, Odyssey and Iliad. In the formation of national personality, legendary characters in popular literature and historical history often have as strong an influence as heroes in political history. It can be said that all the great men of India were nurtured by the sublime achievements of the characters in the 2 epics above. Over the past 3,000 years, these works have become a precious heritage of the Indian people, spiritual food for intellectuals as well as illiterate men and women, rich or poor. The reason a literary work becomes immortal and widely passed down is not only due to its ideal character or moral content. The more important condition is that it must express special aspects of human emotional life, thinking and material activities with unique art. Both epic poems are expressed in sloka verses, double verse, 2 lines in 1 rhyme, the most musical and popular poetic rhythm in Sanskrit, very suitable for expressing tragic emotions in history. The lyrics are innocent and simple, rich in naturalness rather than elaborate techniques. The epic Ramayana demonstrates the religious life and moral sentiments of ancient India, bringing to life all the most precious human virtues in both the worldly and transcendental aspects. For the Indian people, Prince Rama is the seventh incarnation of Lord Vishnu, the embodiment of morality and boundless love. According to legend, this story was told by Narada, a clairvoyant monk, Rishi, to the monk Valmiki. This man, thanks to the encouragement and help of the god Brahma, found a strange inspiration to narrate the story of Rama to his disciples in masterpiece slokas. God Brahma himself was also moved by Valmiki's singing and had to exclaim, "As long as the river has not dried up and the rocks have not worn away, the epic Ramayana will still enchant the world and save them from the cycle of sin." French historian Michelet, 1798–1874, after reading Ramayana did not hesitate to praise, "Whoever has ever acted or desired too much, should drink this glass of wine full of vitality and youth." In the West, in the direction, everything is narrow. Small Greece makes me suffocate. Dry Israel makes it hard to breathe. Let me look towards the lofty Asia and the profound East for a moment. It is there that has developed, giving birth to my great poem, as vast as the Indian Ocean filled with bright and auspicious sunlight. It is a work filled with sacred harmony, creating an atmosphere of peace and boundless love right away. Amid conflicting scenes, cited by Jawaharlal Nehru, The Discovery of India, Signet Press, Calcutta 1956. What needs to be remembered is that the epic Ramayana that is recited to this day is not Valmiki's original, but is a saga that has been greatly developed by countless anonymous poets over the centuries. Generations after generation have constantly added and supplemented wonderful poetic words. The entire Sanskrit original Ramayana consists of 7 books, but the last book is just a supplement added by later generations. Later Ramayana was divided into 12 books. The 12th book is the supplement to the original. This appendix adds a tragic ending to the work, intended to both further praise the unparalleled virtues of Sita, Prince Rama's wife, and to evoke extremely strong emotions in the reader. Thanks to this supplement, we know that the epic Ramayana consists of 7 books, 500 paragraphs and 24,000 sloka couplets. In the conclusion, this supplement also adds that Prince Rama's son and brother established a number of very prosperous cities in the kingdom around the 6th and 5th centuries BC. Therefore, it can be temporarily concluded that the epic Ramayana, after several centuries of transmission and enhancement, was completed in its current form around 200 or 300 years BC. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.